So thank you everybody for coming along tonight, and thank you very much, Mark, for inviting myself and N4 along today. I'm just going to run you through a short overview of the company presentation. Now, this presentation is available on our website, and it will be sent out afterwards. So I'll go through it fairly quickly because we've only got 20 odd minutes tonight, and then there'll be some questions afterwards. And we do use Investor Hub, so if you'd like to go onto our website after this, if you have any further questions that we either don't get time to answer today, or you think of something later on, please do submit a question via our Investor Hub site. So we are we're a biotech, so we're a differentiated biotech, and we believe we have significant upside potential in our value. What we are doing is we're developing a gene delivery platform, so something for delivering RNA therapeutics into the body. And we call that Nuvec, and it's our unique system that's a spiky mesoporous silica system, which you can find out a lot more about on our website. Our lead program, we call N4 and that's a special orally delivered RNA therapeutic that's got dual targeting onside it. And it's designed to improve patients' lives who suffer from inflammatory bowel disease. Now, we were established back in 2014 and listed on the stock market back in 2017. So we've been developing our system for some time now, and we're really excited by what we've learned and the area that we're looking at now for RNA therapeutics. We have a very strong board. I set the company up, say, back in 2014. We have a non-exec, 3 non-execs, Chris Britton, who's our chair, Dr. Alistair Smith, and Dr. Mike Palfreman, all with considerable expertise across the biotech and pharma space. And they are very strong guides towards what we're doing and helping us develop both the program we're working on and the commercial strategy. And we also have Luke Cairns, who's an executive director from the sort of corporate capital side as well. So again, a very strong board. I won't go into each of the resumes now. You can find them on our website. So reason we're looking at RNA therapeutics is it's a massively growing market. It's around about 18 billion size by 2028. But even though it's a strong growing market, the products being developed in this space face significant issues delivering drugs to the right part of the body and the right tissues and the right cells. So we believe that our Nuvec platform has got the potential to significantly revolutionize gene therapy because it solves a lot of the challenges that exist with both the manufacturing and delivery of specific RNA therapeutics. As I mentioned earlier, our lead program, N4 looking for inflammatory bowel disease, showcases all of the benefits that Nuvec brings. So what we've done is we've chosen a product that not only is clinically relevant and exciting, and I'll go through that a little bit more in a minute, it also shows exactly how our system works. So we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So we're developing a product actually through the clinic, but it's also showcasing and highlighting the platform itself. And by building that data set for our platform, we believe that's going to give us significant partnering and licensing deals in the new term, because that's the way we're going to grow the business before we actually have the right, we're ready to take a product into clinic ourselves. So we believe we're well positioned now to deliver some longer term and some short and medium term significant shareholder value. I see our market cap as incredibly low for the potential that we have. And as I say, we're looking at developing this program in RNA therapeutics. And it's a proven business model for a lot of companies. So I've just pulled out here 5 companies that all started life as technology platform companies delivering something that very, very similar to what we're doing. So, looking at our Arrowhead, for example, they have got a targeting siRNA platform, and that's exactly what we've got. And now they've got a market cap of over 3 billion. We've got Dicerna, who have got over 3 billion, and they have just 2 products in phase 2. We've seen deals for sort of 500 million upfront fees rising to 1 billion for companies like DTX Pharma, who have got a ligandized fatty acid system. So these are all companies with delivery systems for delivering therapy, DNA, RNA therapeutics into the body, and have made significantly progress transforming themselves just from a platform company to a platform company developing their own assets. And that's exactly what we're looking to do. So what do we have with our system? So the Nuvec system, as I say, we've been doing a lot of research on this over a while, and we started out looking at vaccines. We learned a lot of that through the COVID crisis, but we now know a lot about how it works and how it behaves. And one of the things that's really important is that we can get multiple payloads onto our particle. So this allows for controlled uptake, and it delivers multiple payloads to the same cell. And that's really important if you're wanting to work on an area like oncology, where you potentially have two pathways responsible for the tumor growth. One pathway you can control, but then you get escape down through the cell, and can that lead to mutations? So delivering multiple pathways, multiple products into multiple pathways in the same cell is a huge benefit in the RNA therapeutic space. The other thing that's crucial about Nuvec is it's very good at protecting the payload. I mentioned the spiky structure. That's what we have as our unique position with our silica particle. And that spiky structure basically protects the RNA once you load it onto it. It's a simple loading process, and then it's stuck within those spikes. But what that means is that we can actually facilitate oral delivery. And that's something that other systems like viral vectors and lipid nanoparticles just can't do. So we can enclose our system in an encapsulated capsule, deliver it into the gut, basically pass through the stomach into the gut, where it's released there, and it's still protected once it reaches the harsh environment of the gut. The third element we can do, which is really important for RNA therapeutics, is targeting. I mentioned before, if you're delivering an RNA into the body, you want to get it to a specific tissue. And what happens with lipids? They go to the liver. And with viral vectors, they have a lot of side effect issues. Now, with these systems, you need to be able to target them. So what we have is a very easily modifiable base system. So we can add different ligands, different peptides to the Nuvec basic silica nanoparticle, and then that will basically deliver that payload to a specific cell and increase the cellular uptake for a particular target cell. And I'll explain a little bit more about what we're doing with that with our N4 for IBD. But being able to modify it, being able to protect it, and being able to put multiple elements on are three key differences that we have with our system. All that, though, wouldn't really work if we didn't have a really simple commercial product, and we do. It's very easy to make our system. We can load it very easily. It's just a mixing process. It's very stable at room temperature. That protection element I talked about means it's very good at freeze drying and keeping stable. So you don't need to have it at -80 or so, which some of those early vaccines were. And it's also a low cost of goods, so it doesn't add significantly to the price of the product, unlike lipids and viral vectors, which are incredibly expensive. So just a brief overview. I've mentioned some of the key things: the interchangeable payload, our ability to target cells, the lack of toxicity. You get a lot of toxicity with viral vectors and some with lipids. The fact that we have a very strong background IP for our product, whereas you see legal disputes everywhere with various lipid particles. We are, though, in preclinical stage compared to some of the viral vectors and lipids that are already approved. But as I also mentioned, the protective nature of it means we can deliver orally, and that's really important because viral vectors are just too toxic to deliver orally, and lipid nanoparticles, once they get into that harsh environment of the gut, will just break down and not deliver the payload. So we feel we've got a number of significant advantages to our system. So what we've decided to do is we are bringing our own product forward with for the IBD market. It's an oral product, and it's an RNA product for treating IBD. It has two different nucleic acids on. It has an mRNA to promote the body's natural inflammatory treatment, and it has an siRNA to knock down something called TNF-alpha. TNF-alpha is the basic inflammatory agent that's associated with IBD. The other thing that's really important is I talked about targeting. In the gut, you want the macrophages are the cells that are actually causing this extra production of the inflammation of TNF-alpha. So you want to get the payload into the macrophage cells. So what we do is we add a ligand to our basic system. I mentioned various ligands or peptides, and that will basically target the macrophage cells. So we have a targeting element, we have a protecting element, and we have a dual loading element. So all three of the key benefits for the Nuvec system are present in this one product that we're developing. But as I said, it's not just about the actual showcasing the platform. Whilst that's incredibly important to us, it's also a highly attractive market opportunity in itself. So the current treatments for IBD are predominantly TNF alpha inhibitors. They're effective, but they do come with tolerance issues. They're injectables. They lead to lack of patient compliance. And even though that they still take up 78% of the market, but the research has shown that people want an oral solution to this rather than having an injectable solution. And that oral market is already starting to grow with certain products being developed called oral kinase inhibitors. But these, again, have got some quite significant toxicity issues in other organs. So it's a highly attractive market, 20 billion now, expecting to grow over to around 28 billion by 2030. So it's a strong, clinically relevant, commercially relevant opportunity that showcases the best of the Nuvec system. The other reason for looking at this system is I mentioned, we want to do license deals. We need to take these products as far as we can into clinic and then license them. And there are a few very large players in this space. So these companies are all active in the IBD market. They have products approved. They have products going through development. They are very acquisitive. So it gives us a really neat group of companies to target. Rather than every pharma company, which we obviously are targeting with our platform per se, but this gives us a smaller group of highly attractive and very, as I say, inquisitive and acquisitive companies who are very active in the IBD space. So what are we doing? What we're doing at the moment, so with N4-101, we have a number of key value inflection points. We're looking to drive the value of our company from the low market cap that we have today through to a company that can take these products ourselves into phase 1 clinical trial. So we finished all the in vitro work on our N4-101, say TNF alpha and mRNA. For the mRNA is for something called IL-10. I didn't go into that detail, but it's a TNF alpha IL-10 product, so a dual loaded product, and we're going into animal studies very shortly, and we'll have those results in the first half of this year. We're then looking to reach out and get pre-IND approval on the oral IBD product, talking to the FDA, going through the whole program that we need to do to actually take it into clinic in 2006, and then on to further studies in 2027. So we have a very exciting program with the N4-101 program, but that will take time before it gets to some commercial valuation. So it's our longer term huge opportunity to grow value for the business. In the medium and shorter term, we have some interesting things that will give lots of news flow. We have recently acquired a product which we call ECP-105. It's a glaucoma product and a company called Nanogenics. And they are shortly awaiting a response from the FDA on getting orphan drug status on that product. And that orphan drug status will significantly alter the valuation of that business. And that's something we're looking to see come through very soon. There might be further comments from the FDA, but we're hoping that orphan drug status will be approved. We then talked about the platform. So as well as doing the in vivo work on the N4-101, we're also developing the data for the key elements of the Nuvec system in terms of how it targets all the manufacturing data, its biodistribution, early preclinical toxicology studies, exactly how much we get on the system, how quickly it releases into the cells. All these are data that we know licensing companies want to see. So by doing the two things together, we're working with both the platform, looking at the IBD product, and the IBD product showcasing the elements of the platform. It allows us to build our data set because it's data that will lead to deals. So having good data is the thing that's going to get us a good license deal for our platform. And that's why we are putting all of our efforts in developing this data package. We're also doing some work with a company called SRI International. So they're a US-based company, and we're hoping to have a collaboration through working with them sometime this year as well. So I'll just explain a little bit more about that. I mentioned the targeting nature of Nuvec. And what SRI have is they have a series of different peptides that are special targeting peptides for delivery into certain cells. They call those FOX3, MGS, that's their name for it. And what we've shown with them already, we have taken their MGS peptide, we've combined that with our Nuvec system, and we've shown that it only gets taken up into the target cells for that particular peptide. But what we've also shown is by doing that take up into those cells, we still get strong cellular knockdown. So we get knockdown of the target gene in that particular cell. So having developed that early data, we're now starting to present that data to major pharma players together, because we're looking to do some joint development work with ourselves and with SRI. And the model is really a triumvirate that we're looking for. So we've got our background IP with the Nuvec system. SRI have got their background IP with their MGS systems. And what we're looking to do is to create a further bit of IP that will come from working with a partner, be it, J&J, Glaxo, whoever, who has a compound. You put the three things together and new IP will be created out of that, which will be shared across all three parties. And the way we're doing that work is we're doing that with a sort of collaboration deal between SRI, ourselves, and the third party. So that's really our commercial strategy. So we have platform proof of concept data that we're developing, and we're doing that in two ways. One specifically on the platform itself, and the other by working on our N4-101 IBD program. And we're looking to, say, present that data so that we can get platform deals, licenses for people to use our Nuvec system to develop their own products in the RNA therapeutic space. But that licensing, that work will help us because that drives the value of the business. So that's the short and medium term side. But in the long term, having our own products that we can take into clinical stage ourselves, initially the IBD product, but subsequently there'll be loads of other products using the multi-approach and the targeting nature of the Nuvec systems, in oncology, in gene therapy. So we'll be looking to build a whole suite of assets to become a company like those ones I sort of said earlier, the ones with really large valuations. But we know we have to get there step by step. And the priority at the moment is expanding our data set on our platform so we can get a license deal with that allows us to bring in the cash to start developing a wider portfolio of products that ultimately we can take into phase 1 and phase 2 clinical trials ourselves. The further you can take it yourself down the actual clinical trial program, the much, much greater the sort of valuation deals that you can do. I mentioned some of those earlier companies that are doing 500 million deals because they've got something into phase 2 clinical trial. So it's a proven business model. And it's one that we need to work through slowly, bit by bit, as we build our data set, because it's the data that's going to deliver the deals for the company. So in the summary, so we're a rapidly growing RNA therapeutics market that we're competing in, but we know these still face significant issues in delivering drugs to the right tissue and the right parts of the body. But as I mentioned, we believe our Nuvec platform basically overcomes those issues, and it has the ability to really become the sort of Intel inside, if you like, of RNA delivery, and working on the targeting, the protection, and the multiple loading of the RNA therapeutics. And we're focusing on progressing our lead program, our IBD product, into clinic and working in partnership with that. But also, as I mentioned, that's showcasing all our key benefits. Keep in mind protection, multiple loading, and targeting. And that data set that we keep building is going to allow us to drive platform partnering and licensing deals in the near term. So we believe we are well positioned to deliver, long-term significant shareholder value, but also building that share price up through the short and medium term as well. And in particular, we'll be having in vivo results coming through very soon in April, maybe May 2025. So that gives you an overview of N4, and I'll just hand over now and stop sharing to see if there are any questions.
Thank you very much, Nigel. I have a few questions coming through. We'll run questions on to about 25 because I added a 5-minute intro. So question as to whether the Nuvec silica component is basically the same as Cabosil and Aerosil, which are microcolloidal silica and which are used in as tablet excipients. And if not, how does it differ?
Right. Well, it's not. So that being I don't know those specific elements, but being micro, they are significantly larger than us. So we're a nano size. So the Nuvec particle itself is around 200. It's a 180 nanometer particle, and what it has is a spiky structure. So it looks like, I don't know if you've ever been to the Far East, you might have seen something called a rambutan fruit, which is a fruit with spikes, or us in the UK, quite often if we go walking in the summer, you get these little grass spurs stick to your socks, and that's what it looks like. Within this spiky structure, we trap the RNA, so it's very, very different to those microbial excipients we talked about. It's a specific thing that actually attaches the RNA into the spikes, delivers it into the cell, and when it's into the cell, the spikes break down. There's a charge reaction as well that gets it out of the cytoplasm and into the cell. And there's a series of different videos we're doing at the moment on the N4 site, which helps describe a little bit more about the science and how Nuvec differs from other silica systems, as well as how it differs from lipids.
Thank you. I was going to go with sea urchin, but that's probably not as good at marketing.
Not as we're more inert than that.
Fantastic. Question on cost. If it's low cost and easy to produce, isn't it open to easy competition? And why aren't others doing this? Which I suspect is an IP protection.
Very much, yeah, very much around IP. So it's patent protected. We have licensed the patent exclusively from the University of Queensland in Australia. It's granted in all major territories, so US, Europe, India, China, Japan, along with Australia and Canada. And what it is, it's a patent around that structure. So it's a patent around the spiky structure around a mesoporous silica particle. So no one else can make a spiky silica nanoparticle with a hollow mesoporous core. And that's what we have patented. The actual process itself, as I say, it's a sort of standard Stuber process for making the part. It's a three-step process. We make the core, we then surround it with the spiky silica structure, and then we burn off the thing that was used to make the core, and that leaves us with this organic silica structure. But the actual process of making it is fairly straightforward. But then, really importantly, the mixing process is just literally that. You take the RNA, you take the silica particle, you mix the two things together. If you want to do an RNA into a lipid, it's a very, very complex system of encapsulation and very, very expensive. So we are not expensive to do that sort of mixing formulation side in any way.
Thank you. And one more clinical, which I'll ask you to rattle through if you don't mind, because I want to get on a couple of financial questions. Which partner is providing the active substance for N4101? Is the active currently approved by the regulatory authorities for any indications, including IBS?
Or no, actually, at the moment it's IBD. So it's
IBD.
Not, yeah, but it's an important distinction because IBD is Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis rather than just the standard IBS. So no, we have we're getting an off-the-shelf siRNA that's used to knock down TNF alpha, but that hasn't been approved yet. I mean, that will all be approved as you go through the regulatory process. The regulatory process is quite long and challenging especially for lipid, any nanoparticle, because nanoparticles are only just coming to the market. So the regulators don't have a set of complete guidance. So that's what we'll be doing as we go through phase 1 clinical trials and ultimately into phase 2 and 3 to get that particular siRNA knockdown, siRNA gene to knock down the TNF alpha approved.
Cool. Can I ask you something about the costs of your pre-phase 1, the costs of bringing this to market, and the funding, would be that share funding or debt funding that you'll need to get there?
So I think to get into phase 1 clinical trial for an IBD product, you're looking somewhere around 5 million plus, maybe 5 to 7 million. To get you into a phase 1 clinical trial. So we don't have the ability to raise that now at the moment. But what we are doing is we're building our data set on our platform. So by getting a license deal, if we get a license deal for our platform, that's going to move our share price stratospheric anyway. And on the back of that move, we'll then be able to raise the funds that we need, that 5 to 10 million, to take it into phase 1 clinical trial. There's also non-dilutive grant funding that we can look for, specifically for taking products into phase 1 clinical trial as well. And there are different opportunities that we're also considering. So it's a combination of step of non-dilutive funding and slower platform deals that with the data that we are able to generate with our existing funds, to basically get a license deal to increase the value of the business so that we can then raise further funds to take products into clinic.
Okay, I think non-dilutive was the key word I was looking for there. What is N4 Pharma's growth strategy for the next 18 to 24 months?
So I think I sort of mentioned it. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to build our existing data set around our platform, showcasing all the key benefits, looking at all the elements that, the questions that we need answering when we have our business development conversations with the major players, to build the short to medium term size of the company. So we're growing the value as we go through that program before we can then take our N4 101 program into clinic. So that's the sort of next 18 to 12 months. A license deal will be built on the back of good data. So we are continuously generating good data on our Nuvec core system to drive short to medium term value.
Thank you. And the expected ROI is a difficult question for you to answer, but ROI for investors.
Absolutely, very, very difficult question. So, I deliberately picked up some companies earlier that you looked at that have got multiple, valuations in the hundreds of billions, and some that have even gone into the 3 billions, because these are all companies that have started life as a platform tech. So we do know that we have a system that we can use in a number of different areas. So ultimately, we could have a whole range of different products. So the ultimate return is very, very high, but we need to get there. And that's our challenge. How do we move through that process from being a small biotech now through a larger biotech with multiple product opportunities? And as I say, that's what we're doing with our platform and licensing deal.
And what do you see as the most likely licensing deal, or the best opportunity for a licensing deal in the near term?
I think the near term, the best licensing opportunity will be someone who's already got an RNA therapeutic that they are struggling with in clinic. Maybe not, they're looking for an alternative to a lipid system or a viral vector system, and so they'll want to look at an alternative system. And using our platform, that will get us into a deal with a company like that. As I say, the more medium term is us doing a licensing deal on our IBD product and other ones later on. So it's looking at a company that's, I think, struggled with something. It may well be that they've failed a clinical trial because of cytotoxicity issues, or they couldn't deliver enough of it to the right cell. And there'll be a number of reasons why they're looking for an alternative to their existing system. So that's who we're trying to reach out to at the moment.
Would they not simply look to acquire you?
They could. That's one of the things that we could see as a route from a company. But we do have a number of different. We could license this in many different places. So if the company was big enough and the value opportunity was strong enough for our shareholders and the price was right, then they could look to acquire the whole technology, because it would be able to work across a wide portfolio for one of those major pharmas. But typically they don't do these sorts of acquisitions until they get to those sort of late clinical stage trials. So it's a sort of catch-22. We'd love someone to look at acquiring us earlier when we've got sort of 50-60 million valuation, but most companies, they're quite happy, these big companies, to spend $1 billion, having seen the biotech companies do all the hard work themselves, getting them through to the phase 1 and 2 clinical trials.
Super. Nigel, thank you very much indeed. That was very interesting. There are 2 unanswered questions, which I'm afraid I'm going to press dismissed on out here, but if we may, we will ask you to scribble a response to both.
Absolutely. Or again, if those people who ask those questions, if they want to submit it on our own Investor Hub platform, please, they can do so as well on there. We've got the presentation up. They can just get onto the presentation and submit those questions on the back of that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. And our second presenter for this evening is SEEEN, a video tech company that uses AI to identify, create, and monetize interactive key video moments within large-scale video collections. Its tech is used by clients to drive greater revenues from video commerce, accessible training, and increased social video footprints, all from their existing catalogue of content. And the presenter for this evening is Adrian Hargrave, who is CEO. Adrian, if you are ready to go, please feel free to share your screen.
Thank you, Mark. Let me just give me a second. Great. Hopefully you can see that.
It's just coming up. Yeah, that's on screen now. You have control.
Perfect. Thank you. And so thank you, Mark. Thank you, ShareSoc. Thank you, everybody who's attending today as well. I see, looking quickly at the attendees, I see a couple of names that I recognise from our shareholder register. So thank you to you as well for being supportive shareholders. And looking forward to telling everybody in about 20 minutes what we do, but also a bit around our recent trading update, which we put out last week as well, which I think should provide an inflection point for the company, both from the point of the view of our revenues and profitability and cash flow, but also hopefully from the share price perspective as well. Before I get into this, and I know having listened to Nigel's excellent presentation, there may be some questions at the end that we don't get round to dealing with, or there may be questions that you think of afterwards. Please contact me on the email address below, which is adrian@SEEEN, that's with 3 E's, SEEEN.com. I became CEO just by background in 2022, having previously been the CFO of the business. I previously worked in-house at Water Intelligence and in the city. I'm not a technology person by background, but very focused on how we deliver ROI for our investor base and obviously, for our clients as well. Both of those go hand in hand, despite where the market is today. In terms of our investment summary, just as a quick overview, our whole business is predicated around having, like N4 Pharma, a sustainable platform based on a couple of patents for artificial intelligence training issued in 2013. So obviously quite a while ago and before AI became the thing it is today. And from that, we've developed some products. We are now selling, develop those in-house. We are now selling those to customers. That technology has generated strong case studies for our customers with 100% plus ROIs, 9% click-through rates within video, which typically you'll see 2 to 3% click-through rates. And what that means is when people are watching a video, they get taken to what we call a shoppable video prompt, which you'll see in a moment, and allow them to either purchase an item, set up a subscription, go and watch some other informative piece that's relevant to that video. And we have delivered 2 times on-page sales conversions. We're also moving more into the training space as well. All of that technology is great, but we obviously have to commercialize it. What's particularly important and pleasing is that in December last year, we reached cash flow break even. We're expected to maintain that going forward, and we still have a considerable amount of cash on the balance sheet to allow us to continue investing where appropriate. Although for now, the technology development is being put to one side, and we're really focused on sales and marketing. The investor base has been highly supportive. We've got a tightly hedged shareholder base, but we've got a board that understands, what investors want to see from a company. They want to see me continue to deliver the numbers, continue to deliver top line growth. We delivered 50% last year, as we'll go through the numbers, and deliver profitable growth as well, whilst looking at how do we manage the market appropriately as well, and keeping shareholders, be they large or small, fully informed in what we're doing. And finally, beyond the actual fundamentals of the business itself, we're in some really fast growing markets, in particular the video commerce space. The whole online video space is expected to continue to grow. I think that's regardless of what happens from an economic standpoint, even if you're worried from that side. The rise of 5G, potentially even 6G, the speed of data means that the amount of video people are consuming online and on their mobiles is only increasing. There's some competition, a little bit for our offerings, but one of the things I want to show you later is how we are a bit different from the platforms. You need to think of us differently. So we're not competing against the likes of YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. We should be actually helping people leverage the work they've done on those platforms to make more money. So looking quickly at what it is we actually do. So we have the customers we work with tend to have a lot of long form content. And by that, we mean anything that's more than 5 minutes long. And there's a huge database or a huge collection of these videos that are sitting there doing very little for them, really because they have no idea what's in there. Within them, there's some great nuggets of information. So 2 client examples here. On the left, we have A7FL, which is the no pads, no helmets American Football League. And for that, in that, they've got an hour and a half, 2-hour long video, and they've got a 3-person team. There's no way they can go through, find all of the right highlights, go back through their historic content and find everything that they're looking for. So our patent allows us to look within the video for objects, for people, for speech, for optical character recognitions, that's text on the page, emotions, activities. There's about 25 different classifiers. And from that, we can look for what we consider to be the best, most relevant moments that we want to serve to people, or we can look by call it discrimination. So if we're looking for specific people, specific events. So we will scour that video database quickly, we'll index it at scale, and that provides the moments that our customers want to use. Underneath, we have the same concept, but for a training video. So think of this is for American leak detection. In this case, they've got a 20-minute video about cause and origin training, which is for insurance works and households when there's a leak. And we split that up into separate segments. Now, we've indexed all of those videos. We've created those moments. How do people actually use them to make money? And that's where our Creator Suite IP, which is the software tool we've built, SaaS software tool we've built, allows our customers to, one, deliver video commerce. So by that, for example, look at the American football match there. As a touchdown happens, we could offer the ability to purchase that player's shirt, that team shirt. We could offer the ability to subscribe to the newsletter, whatever it is that people want to do to drive value to them. And we have end cards, and between them, we see about 9% click-through rates. That's how people make money, by posting those videos on their website. So one of the conversations we have regularly is how we're transforming video from being a cost center into being a profit center for our clients. And that's, for some people, that's really easy. Other people find that slightly harder to take on board, and it requires a slight change in mentality within the organization. However, the fact is we are now seeing inbound traffic from our current, from our case studies, rather than having to go and push out and look for business all the time. And the second one is we work with YouTube a lot. We have a YouTube consultancy. We leverage our technology to look within the video collections and combine relevant clips, relevant moments to create a new video, effectively a new asset. So instead of seeing it as one video asset that they've uploaded to YouTube, it's a series of micro assets that they can stick together and create a new video. So for example, this video here, Boris Bloopers, did about $10,000 in revenue for the Daily Mail. We helped them in the work we were doing with them go, more than treble their monthly income by helping them look within their videos, look within long form videos and create original shorter form content, whereas they'd always been relying on Associated Press and Reuters news networks, which is the same as everybody else. So they had to differentiate themselves. And on the training side, we're helping to speed up the training of technicians. By that, we've integrated with Salesforce at American leak detection. We're able, when somebody's looking for a specific item, to serve that particular 30-second, 50-second relevant piece of information that's searchable. And at the end, we can drive questions to show that they've actually engaged and learned what they're meant to do, or they can go in and call a certain number for more help. So those are the way our clients commercialize our technology. How do we commercialize that? Well, on the technology side, we charge a monthly license fee and a performance fee. So that may be done on the basis of sales generated, on optimizing search engine optimization within video, so we drive more traffic to their site, I won't go into the specifics of that now, but we have a specific technology that allows us to do that better than the competition, or it may be just a number of views. We also operate, and that drives at a 90% margin, and that's all technology. The other side of the business is our YouTube social video consultancy. That's driving around 15% margins. That's where we've taken all of our customers' video content. We've helped them publish it and upload it to YouTube. We take responsibility for it on YouTube. We're helping them make more money, and we pay to them a share of that. So it's a mix of SaaS fees and performance fees, essentially. So it's not all 100% recurring revenue, but I'd say when you look at our revenues, it's pretty much 100% repeat revenue. We've got very little one-off installation or development costs. In terms of the markets we serve, as I said, we consider them to be all fast growing. Video commerce, hopefully I've explained a bit around that. Happy to take more questions. But where that's growing on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, what people haven't really done so far is use the videos on their own website to drive conversion. And that's where we come in. So for us, we're effectively offering you the opportunity to make your own videos on your website, your own retail store, whereas the platforms allow you to have a concession and department store. And there's obviously room for both in the market. And when we say commercializing your video and video commerce, it doesn't have to be selling. It can be engagement. It can be interactivity. It can be donations. So we work with some charities to try and drive direct donations from video as people's being tugged at their heartstrings. That's the point of the videos, to try and help people part with their money and support the charity. Lots of different ways we can help our customers. On search engine optimization, again, that's a big market. It's slightly slower growing, but what I would say here that's a differentiator is we provide a better indexation of video for Google. That's something that's more and more important to Google, and I think we've already seen publishers want this SEO benefit because they can drive more traffic to their web page, their pages, their video pages, and drive higher cost per view versus what they would achieve by driving people to a text-based page. Short form social, again, I'm sure all of you who have children, maybe some of you yourselves, spend time on short form social videos. I know my kids certainly, would love to spend all the time looking at TikTok and Facebook and Instagram reels. Again, there we can help people produce a lot more short form social from their existing long form content. So they don't have to spend the money shooting videos. It's actually more expensive than you think to do those videos well, whereas the return on them, the actual monetary return on them, is really quite low. We allow people to do that at scale and a lot faster. On the reskilling and training, again, that's where we've described key video moments, delivering faster training. We've done work around teaching people how to do digital marketing as part of the training as well. We're going to rolling that out to customer training and customer education also. In terms of the board and management, just quickly, important to note that all of our non-executives are taking their fees and shares, and they all help me grow the business. We're split between the US and the UK with sales team and a customer success team that works across both parts of the business. Pat is also chairman at Water Intelligence and American Leak Detection. We've done some great work with them. It's been a brilliant reference customer for us when we go and pitch to other people in the US services business, and they're bringing in their partners and their network in as clients. David has worked at has worked in the film industry, has got his own marketing agency, and has given us lots of introductions in the publishing and the sports world. Mark has got an experience in sales. He's been instrumental in helping us drive the video commerce piece to e-commerce platforms. And Michael has worked in the training industry. He runs an outfit called NYC First, non-profit STEM-based organization in New York. And again, he's helping me roll that out and roll out the training program and education, because there's a big market opportunity there. The routes to market, as you'd expect, we have direct sales. That's how a lot of our work had been done historically, with some outbound marketing driving a sales funnel. What I think is particularly pleasing in the last 3 or 4 months is we're seeing more and more inbound, both from word of mouth, but also direct referrals from customers. We will consider an additional hire on the skills and education side as we build out the case studies there. But We're not planning on increasing much in terms of the sales team right now, because we have to find that right balance between being cash flow positive and driving the top line. However, we are driving more reseller agreements. That's part of the reason we have driven 50% revenue increase in 2024. We've done that by having a reseller agreement in place for our YouTube consultancy business. That's working very efficiently, and we want to build that into our other sectors. So, particular in the digital marketing space, in the SEO space, we've got ongoing conversations there. We're hoping to have announcements in respect to that, between now and the end of the half year. And finally, we're also upselling to existing customers. For a small business, we have quite a lot of different offerings. We find that quite often either the technology or the YouTube social video consultancy resonates most as an initial point of sale. We want to get in there, we want to do a great job, and then we want to sell the other service to that customer base. We've seen that happen over and over with a variety of customers. That works quite well. We're also able now to deliver training and digital marketing improvements as well, which will help us to sell more of the same. As is the case with most companies, winning new clients is a lot harder than harvesting the existing ones. So with 50 plus technology clients today, that's important for us to be able to offer them more services to help us to grow, whilst also searching for new customers where we can. For our trading update, so hopefully that's given everybody a good overview. I appreciate that sometimes seeing may be better, and I would recommend you go to our website to see one of our videos there. We can also send to anyone who's interested some of the videos we've used as promotional videos for the sports sector and other areas as well, which probably bring to light in 60 seconds how our technology really, are part of a pitch for our technology to our customer base. So all of that has been set up. I think in 24, we delivered some really strong results. We've gone we have increased revenues by 50% versus 23, with both parts of our business growing. So technology was up 85% to $400,000. Our CSP, or YouTube consultancy business, was up 47%, having previously been atrophying because it was the lower margin business that we were moving away from, but we've been able to grow that profitably this year, particularly due to the reseller channel. We've developed, because of this, as well as cost control, we achieved cash flow break even in December 24. Our gross margin is above 25%. On the next slide, you'll see what it was historically, but if you go back to 2021, before I became the CEO, our gross margin was more in the 11 to 12% region. So we've doubled that in in 2 to 3 years. And the aim is to double it again by, the end of next year. And that's as we drive more technology sales and higher value, even YouTube consultancy sales. The EBITDA loss in the second half was only 0.1 million. EBITDA often hides a lot of capitalization. As we go down below, you'll see that actually we've spent most of the money we need to on developing the product as it is. That's not to say there'll never be a need for development spend again. Of course, the market moves, but we are now in a position that we can spend when our customers want new solutions and are ready to sign up for it. We don't need to develop what we have out any further in order to be able to sell and get into the market more aggressively. In terms of the customers, as I said, we've got more than 50 technology-enabled customers, and we did release a couple of new features during the year, in particular the key video moments for training. We did a little fundraising last year in 2024. We did a little fundraising to raise £1 million in order to do that, but we had a couple of customers already ready to buy that product. And then we developed something called a shoppable Reels gallery, which, just think of that as TikTok on your phone, on your website, that people can just go and shop whilst they're watching those videos, and our customers can make more money directly that way than they do in the roundabout manner of converting people from social media, which takes a long time. And their aim is to keep you on their platform, not to drive people to your website. And really, our outlook for 25 revenue run rate at the end of December was $5 million. As I said, that's repeat rather than recurring. There is some variance depending on YouTube advertising revenues, but there's no reason why we should do less than that this year. And importantly, we won a new contract, which isn't in the numbers that Dowgate have for us, that's initially worth $0.5 million, but should be worth up to 3.5 by the end of the year if we hit certain milestones. There's no reason we shouldn't. And obviously, I'll be reporting against that during the course of the year. And hopefully that would provide a upside to this year's numbers, but also some, a really strong ballast for 26 over and above the organic growth we're expecting from our ongoing sales and development. This here is just highlighting the point I was making earlier about increasing margins and increasing revenue. When I took over in 2022, our margins were really in the low to mid-teens. We're now at a gross margin of 25%, but in the first year we had to get rid of various low margin business that I inherited that was in the 1 to 2% region. We're not doing that business anymore. We now have a technology solution that really adds value to our customers, even within the YouTube side, and the technology side is at 90%. So you'll see here we've done our highest halves revenues for 3 years, but we're also delivering the highest gross profit in the half that we've delivered, I think, as a public company since we first came to market in 2019. And this is what the results look like from a P&L perspective. 50% increase in revenues, both sides of the business growing strongly, gross profit up about 80% instead, with the gross margin going from 23 to 27%. The adjusted EBITDA for the year was a loss of 0.4, but as I said, that masks a loss of 0.3 in the first half and 0.1 in the second half, with a cash position of over $1 million. We subsequently had an investor who wanted to put money in for EIS for a further $100,000 post year end as well. So our gross margin and profit are increasing, but we have a cash position that allows us to continue growing the business, continue investing in the team and any opportunistic investments that might come up. So I think hopefully that shows that we are on the right path and we can deliver a profitable, sustainable business backed by strong technology for our shareholders. In terms of
Adrian, I'm looking to get some questions in. So is this your last?
These were our last two. I think this one here,
rattle through, please.
Absolutely. These ones here, we've gone through most of this already. I think the main point I'd like to point out is on the training side, we should be able to see a lot more traction this year. We're also using it in things like webinars and events. So just for all of you watching here, an example would be we could slice this up into all the video moments. We could go through all of the ShareSoc videos historically and provide you the ability to search for particular terms and look for every time that SEEEN has talked about some historic numbers, for example. We'll deliver you the moments. So this works not just within trading, but also within the events business as well. And look for reseller agreements as we continue to try and accelerate the business, the sales of our business. And finally, in terms of the KPIs, I think you should be looking for from us over the next 12 to 18 months. We should be targeting a strategic client and 5 to 10 smaller customers each month. We will be looking to drive gross margins up to 50%. We've already doubled them in the last 3 years. We should aim to do that again as we sell more technology, technology products. And we've achieved cash flow break even, and we have technology that will do more patent and IP filings. However, look, we have a good technology, we have a strong defensible position, and we're on the cusp, we believe, of continuing to grow at 30 to 50% for the next couple of years.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
I'll stop sharing if that's okay, Mark.
Yeah, great. Right. So the first question is from Happy Camper, one of your existing shareholders. I participated in your last placing in May this year at 3p a share, and unusually for an AIM placing, I'm still showing a profit. So well done. I knew very little about the company before investing. My motivation for investing was the EIS tax benefit and seeing the Barron's Mead VCTs following their money. There are two associated questions, really. First one were there any other VCTs or EIS funds that participated in the May placing? And secondly, if you were to be raising capital in the future, do you anticipate that a future raise would qualify for EIS/VCT tax breaks?
Great. Thank you for those questions. I see that's from Tim. I've seen your name as part of the investors. So again, thank you for taking part in the fundraising.
And it's generally good to have Tim on your shareholder register. I can tell you that.
Great. Well, we haven't met Tim, and I look forward to it. Okay, I take that responsibility to shareholders seriously. But yes, we had a couple of other VCTs and EIS. I mean, I'd say about 2/3 of the fundraising was with EIS, so it wasn't necessarily funds or VCT. So we had Baronsmead, we had New Century VCT take part as well, but then we've had various other EIS investors. So it's more high net worth, a lot of them through Dowgate Wealth, but also some other individuals too. I wouldn't say we had EIS funds so much this time, although we have had some of that in the past too. Hopefully that helps. And in terms of going forwards, obviously, if we're doing a growth capital raise, that would be I would anticipate that being EIS VCT qualifying. I don't see the need for that in the immediate term, but obviously, as I said, look, if we've got shareholders who are keen to do something and can't buy in the market because they want EIS, that's something we're responsive to as well. So we it's slightly complicated because we had to qualify via new business routes rather than because the businesses we put together had been older than 7 years when we first bought them. But yes, we do have that capacity should we need it in the future.
Thank you. And same question, who are your nearest competitors, and are any of them listed in the UK or other stock markets, and how are they valued? What's their valuation?
Great question. I think our nearest competitors are, in many ways, what I'd call the legacy video players. So one of them, YouTube, has got an interesting position with us in that, in many ways, they're not a competitor, but people do use, for example, the YouTube video player on their website, which is free, right? Now YouTube, it comes with drawbacks, and lots of companies understand that when but you have to explain why they should pay for it rather than taking something free. YouTube steals all the search engine optimization. YouTube drives everybody to their website away from yours. That's their plan. There are other players like Brightcove, who's just been taken out, I think, I can't remember, by private equity for a couple of $100 million. You've got Vimeo as well, potentially. But again, none of these guys do what we do. I'd call them more legacy video players right now. They can't use AI to look within videos and create video moments. There are so those, I call that on the legacy side, they've really based on how can we drive advertising revenue for people more efficiently, and those can be worth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. I think you can get, if you take Brightcove, if you take Vimeo, there's a couple of others out there that are private. JW Player is another big one. In terms of let's say on the AI side of the business instead, yes, there is competition. Like WSC in the sports world, they automate highlight clipping. I think Grabio is another that's based here in the UK. They're all about just trying to help you publish more short form stuff as quickly as possible. There's AnyClip and Opus Clip as well, but they're generally based around text. Or in the case of WSC, where it's not around text, they've got a very specific use case for sports, but my understanding is that they cost a lot of money. Finally, on the shoppable video side, so sorry this is taking a bit long to answer, there are people like Firework Networks, there's Tolstoy. Firework is worth billions of dollars, I think. I mean, they've raised money from SoftBank, which, some people would see that as a blessing, some people would say that as a curse. But they're really focused on live stream shopping, helping people like Walmart or whatever become the QVC of the 21st century. We don't really see them as a competitor, and their minimum starting point is something like $10,000, $15,000 a month, which obviously is a very different proposition to ours. I don't see them as competition, but they are out there. And when people think of shoppable video, they do think of Firework sometimes, especially at the bigger end.
Super. You mentioned technology a lot, and there's clearly a technology element, but how high touch are the two business lines in particular? How much intervention do you require, particularly around the consultancy?
Right. So what I'd say, the consultancy is actually, that's more helping people grow their YouTube channels, giving them advice, giving them tips, and using our technology to create social clips from that. In reality, there is an advisory bit, which, obviously is, I'd say, a bit higher touch. On the technology side, it's fairly low touch. You can just type in, oh, we want to look for this moment, this idea. Let's take somebody scoring a goal. We would then want to auto clip it and verticalize it. They can do that all without us getting involved, and it takes them probably about a minute or two to do it once they've found the clips that they want. On the stuff on your own website, what I call the more technology side of the business, we've had clients implement it and use it totally on their own. There are others who want a bit more assistance. I think ultimately, I know it's relatively light touch because I learned to use it. I'm not a technology guy by background. Again, within 2 minutes, 3 minutes of having a video ready, you can have it up and published. If, on the other hand, you want us to provide the service, that's why we have a customer success team, we will charge more for that.
Fantastic. We're effectively out of time, but just one quick one. I don't think it's a company that's particularly well known to our audience. It would be useful just to have a very swift history since IPO.
Absolutely. So we came to market in 2019. We merged two businesses, GT Channel and Tagasaurus. Tagasaurus is the foundations of the technology business. GT Channel is the foundations of the YouTube consultancy business. And since then, we came to market really with the technology being very nascent. We had a proposition, we had an idea, and we had, we started rolling out an MVP, a minimum viable product version of that, really in 2020, 21. You'd have thought COVID may have helped, but in reality, it didn't. It kind of slowed the adoption of this as other people were focusing on booming their social channels and driving traffic there, which helped the revenue side of the other business, but the problem is the margins on that are so small and historically have been, and we have focused on maybe the wrong type of creators. Then in 2021, we started winning new technology contracts and we sold more. And that's when we started moving away from being just the consultancy side to the technology side of the business. And we saw the revenues, the gross margins start to creep up from 12% to 25% today. We did a fundraising in late 2022. So we raised 7 million at IPO. We raised another 2 million in 22, and we raised another 1 million last year to just refine the product proposition. And that's worked really well for us. And it's got us into the markets a lot more efficiently and a lot more effectively than we would have done otherwise. The first version we built, that was built by the previous team, I'd say had some drawbacks, was too formulaic and too clunky in what you could do. Now it's actually fully flexible and can be fully on brand. And that's been really well received. And hopefully that can be evidenced in the numbers so that now we are at the position that we're hopefully we hit last year, or the previous year, the nadir of profitability and the nadir of our share price.
Fantastic. Adrian, thank you very much indeed. That's very interesting.